Welcome back to my channel. Today we're looking at the rogue decks. Let's see. The rogue starts with Backstab. Backstab is a very good card. 0 mana for 2 damage to any undamaged minion. This is great for finishing off, actually starting off minions. If you find you have a really powerful minion and you need to do that extra 2 damage at the beginning so you can bring it down enough. Or at the early game, they take out almost every single minion that a player will play. There's a few that it won't take out, anything obviously that has 3 hit points, but if you combine it with some sort of spell power buff card, you could really decimate early on games. I recommend Backstab in every rogue deck. Shadow Step. Shadow Step is an interesting card. You can return a friendly minion to a hand and it costs 2 less. This is great on minions that have really good battle cries. Like you can either draw extra cards with it, you could deal you could deal extra damage if you have one of those cards that deal damage when they get played, or buff one of your creatures. Pretty much anything that a minion has with battle cry is really good to use this on. Cold Blood. Give a minion +2, or combo, give a minion +4. What combo means is you have to first play a card, and then you play this, and you get the combo bonus. So it's really good with combining on cards like you drop a charging minion, then you give it this buff, or something like that. Really interesting combinations you can do with Cold Blood. Conceal. Give your minion stealth until the end of the turn. This is great for decks that have either mini minions or have a few key minions that they need to keep on the board. So giving them all stealth until the end of the turn will really just remember you want to attack before you use this card. That way you've at least dealt your damage. Deadly Poison. Give your weapon +2 attack. This is great on almost any sort of weapon deck. You definitely want to have this in your rogue weapon deck if you're going to be making a weapon deck. +2 attack on any weapon is really good for the cost. Now the only thing I find with this card is I find it's a little bit more of a earlier starting game. If you get it in your hand, you probably want to mulligan it out. Mostly because it'll take at least turn 3 before you can use it, or turn 2 if you use your dagger right away. Or 2 or 3, yeah. Sinister Strike. Sinister Strike is an interesting card. It's for 1 mana and it deals 3 damage to an enemy hero. By itself, it's not bad, but it only targets enemies here. Usually what I like to do is combine this with some sort of card that gets buffs off of spells, like either extra spell power, or let's say you draw cards whenever you cast a spell, or a creature gets more powerful whenever you cast a spell, or anything like that. So usually what I usually do is I usually save these in my hand until I have one of these creatures in play, so that I can summon either quick minions or deal extra damage or whatever like that. So it's usually a good strategy for that. Betrayal. An enemy minion deals its damage to the minions next to it. This is an interesting card and can take out some serious monsters, groups of monsters anyway. It is useless on the monster you're actually casting on, but at least it'll damage anything that's around it. So you could take out like tank minions, taunting minions, sorry, and so on and so forth. It is an interesting card to have. I find it has some limits on it, and it's not always good in all decks. Eviscerate. Deal 2 damage, or when it combos, deal 4 damage. This is an extremely powerful card to have in any sort of spell damage deck. I usually recommend it for any sort of spell damage deck. Even other rogue decks, it's quite a useful card to have. Sap. Return an enemy minion to the owner's hand. This is a interesting card. I find it's really useful if you're fighting against a lot of opponents that use really big, powerful monsters. Constantly returning them to his hand will drive him insane. Or if you need to get rid of that pesky taunt monster, you can get rid of it before you attack. Useful in some situation. Shiv. Deal 1 damage and draw a card. This is a really good card, especially if you add it with any sort of spell power deck. You could start doing decent amounts of damage with it and draw cards every single time you cast it. Defile's Ringleader. Defile's Ringleader is an interesting card. It needs to have a combo to be really useful, though, I find. By itself, it's not bad. It's a 2 for a 2/2, but the combo is what really makes it a really good card. So you definitely want to combo it with some way. If you're on turn 1 and you have the coin, it's not a bad idea to combo it then. So it can be quite a good card. Fan of Knives. Fan of Knives is your standard AoE card from the Rogue deck. You definitely need to have at least one spell power card in there to make it worthwhile, I find. Dealing 1 damage is not bad, but you really need it to be able to do 2 damage to take out any of the rush decks. So you want to have at least one or two spell power cards in your deck just to make it so that it's more feasible. But I usually recommend having it at least in every single Rogue deck. Assassin's Blade. Assassin's Blade is your high-level dagger for the rogue. 5 mana for 3 attack power with 4 times use. Really good basic dagger for your rogue. Yeah, Assassinate. Assassinate. Destroy an enemy minion. This destroys any minion that's on the board. Almost a must-have in any rogue deck. You want at least 1 or 2 of these in any sort of rogue deck. Vanish. Vanish is an interesting card. Return all minions to owner's hand. That's including yours. This is... I find it's a good card, but it has its limited uses. I find some decks it shines in, and other decks it's almost useless in. So it's one of those cards that you have to play around with until you find its niche in your deck. Sprint. Sprint is one of those cards that is very interesting. It's a 7 mana to draw 4 cards. I usually recommend having 1 of these in most rogue decks, never having 2 because it just starts costing way. It almost takes up waste of card space. Because of its high mana cost, that's one of the only reasons why I recommend only having 1 of these. But other than that, it's a pretty decent drawing card. I think that's everything for the regular cards. I'll take a look at the rare cards. Let's see here. Blade Fury. Blade Fury is an interesting card. You destroy your weapon and deal its damage to all enemies. Now this does get buffed by spell power cards, so this can do a lot more damage with it. Really good when combined with deadly poison and what on your weapon. You could take out a lot of enemy minions and deal a lot of damage to the enemy player itself. Perdition Blade. Battle Cry deals 1 damage, and if you combo it, deals 2 damage instead. This is a pretty good weapon if you're working on a lot of combos and you want to have that extra 1 or 2 damage in your deck. Head Crack. Deal 2 damage to an enemy hero. Combo, return this card to your hand. This is an interesting card where you can combo it off a lot of different spells, as well as creatures that are working off spells. Draw a card when you cast a spell, get more power when you get spells, summon creatures when you get more spells. Really good card if you're doing a lot of pretty spell-heavy deck with a lot of damage in it. Now, it only deals damage to the enemy hero, so you just got to remember that part. SI7 Agent. SI7 Agent is, I find, almost a must-have in a lot of rogue decks just because it's a pretty good card, 3 for 3/3, and its combo deals 2 damage. So you can take out a lot of creatures for its low cost. Or deals some extra damage to an enemy player, of course. Master of Skies, Battle Cry, give a friendly minion stealth. This is an interesting card, and I think it could be very useful in some deck designs, especially if you're focusing on bigger creatures that you want to keep them stealth so that you can attack the next turn. Because there's many creatures out there that have really high damage, low hit points, but can't attack right away. So by giving them stealth, it makes it so that you at least get 1 turn of attack with them. I think I'll double check to see if there's any rares that I haven't crafted yet. Let's see here. No, I think that's all of them. All right then. thank you for watching the video, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Thank you again.